What if the people you care about the most are the ones stealing your peace and happiness? In old age, the biggest threat isn't illness or money. It's toxic people. People who drain your energy, diminish your dreams, and take away your freedom. You've worked hard all your life. You've sacrificed, struggled, and persevered. Now, it's your time to live in peace, to enjoy every moment, to feel free. But how do you make sure nothing and no one steals that from you? Because here's the harsh truth. Some of the most toxic people might be closer to you than you think. They could be your friends, your relatives, even your own children. They don't always mean harm, but their presence, their words, their actions can slowly drain the life out of you. And before you realize it, you're living your life according to their terms, not yours. But you deserve better. You deserve freedom in old age, mental well-being, peace. In this video, we will reveal the 6 types of toxic people you should never live with in old age. These are the people who rob you of your happiness, steal your freedom, and shatter your peace of mind. We'll uncover who they are, how they affect your life, and most importantly, how to protect yourself using the wisdom of Stoicism. We'll share real-life examples, Stoic quotes, and powerful solutions to break free from their negative energy. Stay with me until the end, because the last type of toxic person is the most dangerous. They disguise themselves as helpers, but they slowly take control of your life, and you might not even realize it. This isn't just about identifying toxic people. It's about reclaiming your power, your peace, your freedom. You've worked too hard to let anyone steal that from you. It's your time to live freely, to live peacefully, to live stoically. So are you ready to take back control? Let's get started. 1. The dream killers. Have you ever shared an exciting idea, a dream you wanted to pursue, only to hear the words, "At your age, it's too late. You should be taking it easy now. Not chasing dreams. Why bother starting something new? You should be enjoying retirement." These words seem harmless, even well-intentioned, but they carry a hidden poison, a negative energy that seeps into your thoughts and convinces you to stop before you even begin. The most dangerous part, they don't come from strangers. They come from the people closest to you, family, friends, even loved ones. They claim they're protecting you from disappointment, from wasting time, from making a fool of yourself. But in reality, they are stealing your future before it even arrives. They are the dream killers. Most dream killers don't see themselves as villains. They often believe they're helping you. They think they're saving you from failure, from embarrassment, from regret. But what they're actually doing is imposing their own fears onto you. Because when you dream, when you step outside the lines they've drawn, you remind them of something uncomfortable, the dreams they abandoned. Your courage challenges their complacency. Your ambition forces them to face their own regrets. And instead of facing those regrets, they try to silence your dreams. They say you're too old because they're too afraid. They call you unrealistic because they have given up on possibilities. They tell you it's too late because they need it to be too late for them too. But here's the truth. Their limits are not your limits. Their fears are not your reality. And you don't have to live according to their rules. The real danger of dream killers isn't just in what they say. It's in what you start to believe. Because when you hear the same doubts repeated enough times, you begin to accept them as truth. And suddenly you're hesitating. You're questioning yourself. You're second-guessing whether you should even try. And just like that, you stop dreaming. Not because you weren't capable, not because you weren't ready, but because you let someone else define what was possible for you. But here's a question to consider. Who decided that dreams have an expiration date? Who wrote the rule that says you must stop learning, exploring, or creating after a certain age? It wasn't Seneca who warned us. The greatest hindrance to living is the expectation of tomorrow and the waste of today. It wasn't Marcus Aurelius who reminded us, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." So why would you let someone else's fear of the future rob you of your present? The only thing standing between you and your dream is the belief that it's too late. And that belief? It's a lie. Think about the people who defied age. Grandma Moses started painting at 76. Colonel Sanders launched KFC at 65. Fauja Singh ran a marathon at 100. What if they had listened to the voices that said, "You're too old"? They would have died with regret instead of purpose. Their time wasn't over because they refused to let it be over, and neither should you. But how do you protect yourself from dream killers? It starts with setting boundaries. You don't have to cut them out of your life entirely, but you do need to limit their influence over your decisions. Not everyone deserves a say in your dreams. If someone constantly makes you feel small, limited, or incapable, distance yourself. Protect your mind. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, who remind you that you are still capable of growth. Because the truth is, you are never too old to dream. You are never too old to learn. You are never too old to grow. You are never too old to live. And anyone who tells you otherwise isn't protecting you. They're limiting you. So who should you avoid in old age? Anyone who tries to convince you that your dreams no longer matter. Anyone who makes you feel small. Anyone who drains your energy instead of inspiring you to move forward. These people are anchors when you need wings. They are barriers when you need momentum. They are noise when you need clarity. Set boundaries. Protect your peace. Guard your dreams. Because the biggest tragedy in life isn't growing old. It's growing old with regrets. And the only way to avoid that is to keep dreaming. Seneca reminds us, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Dream killers make you waste your time by convincing you that your future is limited, that your potential is spent, that your dreams are too big. But Stoicism teaches us that we have power over our own minds. We can choose whose words we believe and whose doubts we ignore. You have the power to protect your peace, to set boundaries, to live fully, no matter your age. So today I challenge you, ignore the voices that say you can't, and listen to the voice inside that says, I can, I will, and I must. Your age does not define you, your dreams do, and it's your time. Don't let anyone, not even the dream killers, take that from you. 2. The emotional vampires. There are people in your life who don't just take your time, they take your energy. They drain you emotionally, leaving you exhausted, frustrated, and mentally depleted. And the worst part? They do it without ever giving anything back. These people, whether they realize it or not, use your kindness, your patience, and your emotional strength until there's nothing left for yourself. They are emotional vampires. They don't need blood to survive. They survive on your energy, your attention, and your willingness to fix their problems. And if you don't learn to protect yourself, they will drain you completely. An emotional vampire isn't always obvious. They might disguise themselves as a friend who just needs to vent, a family member who needs your support, a colleague who always comes to you for advice but never listens. At first it feels normal. You want to help. You want to be there for them. But over time, something changes. You realize that every conversation leaves you feeling exhausted, frustrated, or even guilty. That no matter how much you listen, encourage, or comfort them, they never actually change. Because they don't want solutions. They want your attention. They don't want to fix their problems. They want you to carry them. And while you're busy holding their burdens, who is holding yours? No one. And that's why you always feel tired. Stoicism teaches us that our most valuable resource isn't money, it's mental energy. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What does this mean? It means your energy is yours to protect. It means you don't owe everyone a piece of yourself. It means you have the right to say no. Because the truth is, not everyone deserves access to your mind. Not everyone should have the power to drain your energy. especially those who never give back. But here's the real danger of emotional vampires. They are masters of guilt. They will make you feel selfish for setting boundaries. They will say things like, "I just need someone to talk to." "Why are you pushing me away? I thought you cared about me. After everything I've done for you, you can't even listen to me." And suddenly you feel bad, so you let them in again and again, until one day you look in the mirror and realize you have nothing left for yourself. That is not love. That is emotional manipulation. And that is why you must protect your peace. Think about this. If you had a glass of water and someone kept drinking from it over and over, at what point do you stop and say, "I need to fill this back up"? Because if you don't, you'll run empty. And when you are empty, you can't help anyone, not even yourself. This is why setting boundaries isn't selfish, it's necessary. Setting boundaries with emotional vampires doesn't mean you have to cut them out of your life completely. It means you must be intentional about how much energy you allow them to take. It means you need to start saying no. No to their endless complaints. No to their constant negativity. No to their habit of dumping their emotions onto you without ever considering how you feel. You have the right to protect your mental well-being. And the moment you start doing this, you take back your power. Some will try to make you feel guilty. But remember this, it is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of their significance. Epictetus reminds us that no one has control over your emotions unless you give it to them. So don't give it away. Learn to observe but not absorb. Listen but don't engage. Be present but don't carry what isn't yours to carry. You are not responsible for fixing someone else's emotional state, and you do not exist to be someone's emotional punching bag. But what happens when the emotional vampire is someone you love? A family member? A longtime friend? It's not easy. But boundaries don't mean abandoning them. It means loving them in a way that also protects yourself. Instead of engaging in every conversation, keep interactions short and intentional. Instead of allowing them to unload their problems onto you daily, redirect the conversation. Instead of sacrificing your peace for their chaos, remind yourself, "Not my problem." Because at the end of the day, you are not responsible for healing anyone but yourself. And anyone who makes you feel guilty for protecting your peace was never invested in your well-being to begin with. So ask yourself, how much of your energy is being drained by people who never give back? How much time do you spend carrying problems that aren't yours? And most importantly, what would your life feel like if you took back control of your own energy? Imagine waking up without feeling emotionally drained. Imagine conversations that energize you instead of exhaust you. Imagine a life where your mind is yours again. This is what happens when you set boundaries, when you protect your peace, when you finally say, "Enough." So starting today, no more letting others drain you, no more feeling guilty for protecting your mental well-being, no more emotional vampires, because your energy is sacred, your peace is precious. And the moment you start guarding them, you will experience a freedom you haven't felt in years, a freedom that is yours to keep. 3. The Perpetual Complainers. There are people who seem to carry a dark cloud wherever they go. No matter the situation, they find something to complain about. Weather, politics, money, health, or even the smallest inconveniences. And what's worse, they make sure you hear about it. They turn every conversation into a rant, an endless loop of negativity that drains your energy, lowers your mood, and leaves you exhausted. These are the perpetual complainers, people who are addicted to negativity and want you to join them in their misery. At first it may seem harmless. You listen because you care. You offer advice, hoping it will help. You try to be understanding. But soon you notice something. They never change. They never listen. And no matter how much positivity you bring, they pull you back into their negativity. Why? Because they don't actually want solutions. They want validation. They want someone to confirm that life is unfair, that everything is against them, that they are helpless, and in doing so, they keep you trapped in their cycle of negativity. Stoicism teaches us that our thoughts shape our reality. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." If you constantly surround yourself with people who react to life with complaints, with frustration, with bitterness, you will absorb that same energy. Negativity is contagious. It seeps into your mind, shifts your perspective, and turns your focus toward everything that's wrong instead of what's within your control. And over time, you begin to see problems instead of solutions. You begin to feel exhausted instead of motivated. And worst of all, you begin to complain, just like them. Without realizing it, you have become one of them. But here's what's even more dangerous. Perpetual complainers never complain alone. They need an audience. They need someone to agree with them, to share in their misery, to amplify their frustrations. And if you let them, they will turn you into that person. Because every time you listen to their complaints without redirecting the conversation, every time you agree, sympathize, or add to their negativity, you reinforce their habit. You encourage it, and you make it harder for yourself to escape. So the question is, do you want to be their audience? Or do you want to take back control of your mind? There's a simple test to know if someone is draining your energy. After spending time with them, do you feel uplifted, or do you feel exhausted? If every interaction leaves you feeling drained, hopeless, or mentally fatigued, that's a sign. A sign that you need to set boundaries, because your peace is yours to protect. So how do you deal with perpetual complainers? You don't have to cut them off completely, but you do have to stop participating in their negativity. When they start complaining, don't engage, don't argue, don't try to fix their problems. Instead, redirect. Shift the conversation. When they start talking about everything that's wrong, ask, "What's something good that happened today?" Or, "What's one thing you can control in this situation?" Most of the time they won't have an answer, because their habit is to focus on problems, not solutions. And when they realize you won't entertain their negativity, they will do one of two things. They will either start changing the way they talk to you, or they will find someone else to complain to. Either way, you win, because you are no longer a dumping ground for their negativity. But what if the complainer is someone close to you? A family member? A lifelong friend? That's where you need to set firm but compassionate boundaries. Let them know that their constant negativity is affecting your mental well-being. Tell them that you want to have meaningful, productive conversations, not endless complaints. And if they refuse to change, then limit your time with them, because your peace of mind is not negotiable. You are not responsible for fixing someone else's mindset, and you are not obligated to carry their negativity. Now let's take a moment to reflect. Think about the people you spend the most time with. Do they lift you up, or do they pull you down? Do they encourage growth, or do they keep you stuck in cycles of frustration and blame? Remember, you become what you surround yourself with. If you spend time with complainers, you will start complaining. If you spend time with problem solvers, you will start finding solutions. So ask yourself, are the people in your life feeding your mind or poisoning it? And once you have your answer, do what a Stoic would do. Take action, because your peace is worth protecting. 4. The overdependent adult children. There comes a point in life where you should finally be free. Free to enjoy the years you have worked so hard for. Free to prioritize your well-being, and free to live without the constant burden of responsibilities that once defined your younger years. But what if that freedom never arrives? What if, instead of embracing peace, you find yourself trapped in the never-ending role of a caretaker? Many parents reach their later years only to realize they are still carrying their adult children emotionally, financially, or even physically. These are the over-dependent adult children, grown individuals who refuse to stand on their own, who rely on you as a safety net, and who, whether they realize it or not, are preventing you from fully experiencing the independence you deserve. Raising children is one of the greatest joys in life. Watching them grow, mature, and carve their own path is deeply fulfilling. But what happens when that process never completes? When, instead of becoming independent, they cling to you as their primary source of stability? At first, it may seem natural to help. You love them. You want to protect them. But what starts as love can turn into a prison, a situation where you are no longer just helping, but enabling. It's a hard truth to face, but ask yourself, are you truly helping them or just allowing them to remain dependent? Marcus Aurelius once said, "Each of us is responsible for our own lives." A profound but often forgotten reality. As much as you love your children, their lives are not yours to live. And if they refuse to take responsibility for themselves, you must ask, at what cost does this come to you? Your time, your energy, your financial resources, and your emotional well-being, how much of it is still being drained because they have not learned to stand on their own? Imagine this scenario. A mother in her late 60s has a son in his 30s who still relies on her for financial support. Despite having a job, he constantly asks for money, never fully managing his expenses. She tells herself, he just needs a little more time, but that time stretches into years. Meanwhile, she puts off travel, sacrifices her hobbies, and keeps working longer than she should, just to sustain him. She doesn't realize that by continuing to help, she is not making his life easier. She is preventing him from growing. The moment she says no, he will be forced to figure it out on his own. And as difficult as that may be, it is the very thing he needs to do. Setting boundaries is an act of love, not rejection. It is not about abandoning your child, but empowering them to stand on their own. If you find yourself constantly rescuing them, ask, am I really helping them live, or just keeping them from experiencing the struggles that will make them stronger? The truth is, adversity is a teacher. Without struggle, there is no resilience. Without responsibility, there is no growth. You may think that helping them today is the kind thing to do, but what happens when you are no longer there to help? Have you prepared them for the real world, or have you sheltered them from it? Protecting your peace in old age means recognizing that your role as a parent has changed. You are not their crutch. You are not their endless safety net. You have already given them the foundation they need. Now it is time for them to walk on their own. If they refuse, the problem is no longer theirs alone. It has become yours. So how do you take back control? First, be honest with yourself about the situation. Are you being used as a source of financial, emotional, or logistical support that is no longer necessary? Are you still making sacrifices for them at the cost of your own well-being? If so, the next step is to set firm but fair boundaries. Make it clear that while you love them, you can no longer be the one solving their problems. If they need financial help, they must learn to manage their own resources. If they are emotionally dependent, they must seek support elsewhere. And if they resist, that is their lesson to learn, not your burden to carry. Epictetus reminds us, you are not responsible for the actions of others, only for how you respond to them. If your child refuses to take ownership of their life, that is not your failure. Your only failure would be to continue allowing the situation to drain you when you know it needs to change. But what if the guilt creeps in? What if you worry about how they will survive without your help? This is where a crucial Stoic lesson comes in. detachment from outcomes. You can guide, you can teach, but in the end, their success or failure is their own to experience. Your job is not to guarantee their well-being. Your job is to show them how to create it for themselves. So let me ask you, is your relationship with your adult children helping them grow, or is it keeping them in a state of dependence? If you find yourself giving more than they give in return, if your presence in their life feels more like a duty than a joy, it may be time to reassess, because you deserve peace, you deserve freedom, and you deserve to finally live for yourself. Let them go, not because you love them less, but because you love them enough to let them become who they are meant to be. 5. The controllers disguised as caretakers. Some people take care of you, others take control of you. At first, their actions seem kind. They handle things for you. They make decisions on your behalf. They say, "I'm doing this for your own good." But over time, you start to notice something. Your choices disappear. One day, you realize you're no longer in charge of your own life. The things you once decided for yourself are now dictated by someone else. What to eat, where to go, even how you should feel. And if you resist, they remind you how much they've helped you. They tell you that you should be grateful, that without them, you wouldn't know what to do. And so, you stay quiet. You let them decide. Because it's easier than arguing. But inside, you feel it. You feel the loss of something important. Your freedom. This is what happens when care turns into control. When the people who claim to help you slowly take over your life. They disguise it as love, as concern, as protection. But in reality, it's a cage. A soft, comfortable cage, but a cage nonetheless. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is not just about moving where you want. It's about thinking for yourself, making your own decisions, having control over your own life. When someone takes that from you, even with good intentions, you are no longer free. But here's the hard part. These people are often the ones closest to you. A child who thinks they know better, a partner who decides what's best for you, a well-meaning friend who oversteps. They are not your enemy. They may genuinely believe they are helping, but even the best intentions can lead to the worst outcomes. So how do you take back control? How do you break free without creating unnecessary conflict? First, you must recognize what is happening. Ask yourself, am I making this choice, or is someone making it for me? If you feel pressured, if you feel like you have no say in things that affect your life, then it's time to take a step back. Second, set boundaries. The next time they try to decide for you, pause. Let the silence sit for a moment. Then say, "I appreciate your concern, but this is my decision." Don't justify. Don't explain. Just state it. If they argue, repeat it. The more you practice this, the stronger you become. Third, stop seeking approval. Often, we give up control because we fear upsetting others. We don't want to seem ungrateful. We don't want to disappoint. But here's a truth you must embrace. You do not need permission to live your own life. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to justify why you want control over your own decisions. It is your right, period. Finally, remind yourself what's at stake. If you don't reclaim your independence now, when will you? If you continue to let others decide for you, what will be left of your own choices? Imagine looking back years from now, realizing you lived according to someone else's will. Would you be okay with that? This is not about pushing people away. It's not about rejecting love or care. It's about keeping your autonomy intact. Accept help, but not control. Appreciate kindness, but not domination. Set boundaries, but not walls. And here's something powerful to remember. True caretakers empower you. Controllers weaken you. One makes you stronger. The other makes you dependent. The difference is clear. Now, take a moment. Think about someone in your life who often makes choices for you, someone who decides what's best without asking what you actually want. Do they empower you, or do they limit you? If it's the latter, then ask yourself, how much longer are you willing to let this continue? Because the truth is, freedom is not something that is given, it is something you claim. And it starts the moment you say, "This is my life, and I will decide how I live it." 6. The caretakers who control your life. They mean well, they care about you, but somehow they have taken over your life. It starts with small things. Let me handle your bills. I'll take care of your appointments. You don't need to worry about that. At first, it feels like help. It feels comforting. You tell yourself they are just looking out for you. But over time, something changes. The decisions you used to make are no longer yours to make. They don't ask for your opinion. They don't check what you actually want. Instead, they decide for you. And when you resist, they say the words that silence you. "I'm just trying to help." This is how control disguises itself as care. This is how you lose your freedom without even realizing it. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is not just about movement, it's about choice. The moment you stop making your own decisions, you stop being free. But here's the hardest part. These people are not your enemies. They are often family. A child who thinks they are protecting you. A partner who believes they know best. A caregiver who assumes control is kindness. They may not intend to harm you, but intention does not erase impact. So what can you do? How do you reclaim your independence without pushing them away? First, recognize what is happening. Ask yourself, do I still have control over my own life? If the answer is no, if you feel like decisions are made for you, then it's time to make a change. Second, set boundaries. When they try to take over a decision, pause, take a breath, then say, "I appreciate what you're doing, but I'd like to handle this myself." Keep your voice calm, firm, no explanations, no justifications, just a clear boundary. Third, reclaim your voice. If you let others decide for you long enough, you start to believe you can't decide for yourself. This is a lie. Your ability to choose has never left you. It's just been buried. Start small. Make a choice today that is purely yours. Something simple, something meaningful. The more you do this, the stronger you become. Finally, accept that not everyone will like it. When you reclaim your independence, some people will resist. They will say you're being difficult, that you're making things harder. But here's the truth. Their discomfort is not your burden. You do not exist to make others comfortable at the cost of your own freedom. This is not about rejecting help. It's not about pushing away love. It's about keeping your right to choose. About ensuring that kindness does not turn into control. Think about your own life. Is there someone making decisions for you? Someone who takes over? Even when you are capable, do they empower you or do they limit you? If it's the latter, then ask yourself, and how much longer are you willing to let this continue? Because the truth is, your life belongs to you, and it always will. Toxic people are everywhere, and if you're not careful, they will steal your peace. They will drain your energy. They will control your decisions and take away the freedom you deserve in old age. But here's the truth. No one can take what you don't allow. The Stoics remind us that our happiness does not depend on others, but on how we respond to them. Marcus Aurelius chose peace, even in the face of betrayal. Epictetus found strength, even as a slave. Seneca embraced wisdom, even when surrounded by corruption. Their secret? They protected their minds. They refused to let external forces dictate their inner state. So now, the choice is yours. Will you continue to let toxic people shape your reality? Or will you reclaim your power and protect your peace? Take a moment today to observe the people around you. Ask yourself, do they lift you up or do they weigh you down? If they bring negativity, if they drain your energy, it's time to set boundaries. It's time to choose freedom over obligation. It's time to choose yourself. If this message resonates with you, take action. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment, "I am Stoic," below. Let's build a community of people who choose wisdom over chaos. And remember, your peace is your responsibility, no one else's. Choose wisely.